gonna tell you at an arena named Phillips, and you gonna tell me at the Atlanta Comedy Theater.
That's right, true.
Tomorrow, be there.
All right.
Grant show, I know I'll be there, don't miss it.
What began like a normal radio interview has quickly turned into something nobody saw coming. Katt Williams unleashed a heated rant on air, leaving Wanda Smith caught in the middle of the storm. Now Dave Chappelle is reacting, and the moment is still dividing opinions.
Had 316,000 tickets, therefore that's what she got offered. My last tour had $2.4 million tickets, and so that's what the offer was.
Wow.
So if people understand that it's not personal.
Personal, right.
Then they could just...
I didn't know.
The comedy world has always been a place where truth meets humor, where jokes sometimes cut deep, and where the line between honesty and hurt can get blurry. But in early 2024, that line became a major talking point when Dave Chappelle turned his attention to fellow comedian Katt Williams, and what he had to say got people talking. It all started after Katt Williams sat down for that now famous interview on Club Shay Shay. The interview spread like wildfire. Clips were everywhere. Fans couldn't stop sharing it. But while many people saw it as bold and honest, Chappelle saw something deeper and more troubling. During one of his comedy sets in January 2024, Chappelle didn't hold back. He spoke openly about what he felt was wrong with Katt's approach. And his main issue wasn't just what Katt said, it was who he said it about. Chappelle pointed out something that stuck with a lot of people. He said Katt Williams, whom he clearly respects as a talented comedian, seemed to focus almost entirely on calling out other black comedians.
Dave Chappelle responds to Katt Williams' interview.
I love everybody, but I love Katt Williams more than I love a lot of people. And that thing is wild. I'm at war with the Illuminati too. But what part of the war is ethering Cedric the Entertainer? What part of the game?
In Chappelle's eyes, that didn't sit right. He even used a powerful metaphor, saying Katt was like one of the best painters in the game, but instead of creating something beautiful, he was painting ugly pictures of his own people. That line hit hard, because it wasn't just about comedy anymore, it was about community. Chappelle's message was simple but serious. Why tear down the people who look like you, who share your journey, who understand your struggle? Why not spread that same energy across the entire industry? Then came another moment that really stood out. Chappelle said something that sounded personal. He admitted that he too has been hurt by the industry. He knows what it feels like to go through tough situations, to feel betrayed or misunderstood. But then he made a clear distinction. Hurt people, he said. Then he added, but I'm a hurt person that never hurts people, and he does it all the time. That wasn't just a joke. That was a statement. It showed that Chappelle wasn't speaking as an outsider looking in. He was speaking as someone who has been through the same battles, faced the same pressures, and still chose a different path. In his view, pain doesn't have to turn into damage. Another issue Chappelle raised was accountability. He noticed that during Katt's long rants and interviews, the focus was always on what others had done wrong to him. But he didn't hear much about what Katt himself might have done wrong. And that raised a question. Is it possible that there's more to the story?
And then he just turns evil, tweeting all this stuff to comedians I work with.
Chappelle didn't accuse Katt directly, but he made it clear that every story has two sides. In any situation, especially in a tough industry like comedy, nobody is completely innocent. By not addressing his own role in these conflicts, Chappelle felt Katt's message came across as one-sided. Then there was the business side of things, the part people don't always talk about openly. Chappelle brought up something very real: money. In the comedy world, reputation is everything. A single viral moment, a harsh comment, or a public call-out can affect someone's career. It can impact ticket sales, deals, and opportunities. So Chappelle asked a blunt question. What part of the game involves messing up another comedian's income? In other words, why publicly shame your peers in a way that could hurt their ability to make a living? That question wasn't just about Katt Williams. It was about the bigger picture, how public drama can affect real lives behind the scenes. Interestingly, even with all this criticism, Chappelle made it clear that he still respects Katt. He said he still rocks with him. That part matters, because it shows this isn't coming from hate, it's coming from concern. Chappelle isn't trying to cancel Katt Williams, he's trying to challenge him. Now, this conversation also brought back memories of an older incident, the 2018 clash between Katt Williams and radio host Wanda Smith. That moment went viral too. It was messy, loud, and uncomfortable to watch for many people.
The joke is, Netflix ain't giving me. First of all, Netflix ain't call you. Knock it off. It's Coca-Cola knocking on people's door to see what type of beverage they having today.
So they go by those ticket sales. That's dope.
What else could they go by?
Yeah.
Katt went hard during that interview. He roasted Wanda Smith in a way that some people found funny, but others felt he crossed a line. Chapelle didn't directly defend Wanda Smith, but he did use that situation as an example. To him, it showed a pattern, Katt going after other black figures in public, often in a way that leaves lasting damage. But here's where things get a little more complex. In later conversations, some reports suggested that Chapelle didn't see that 2018 moment as completely one-sided. Instead, he may have viewed it as a situation where comedy collided with something bigger, what people now call cancel culture.
14 years she been doing comedy, and then all of a sudden divorced him, then said he abused her, then wrote a book, then said he didn't.
From that angle, it wasn't just about Katt attacking someone. It was also about how quickly the public reacts, judges, and sometimes turns on people. In that sense, Chapelle seemed to understand that Katt might have been reacting to pressure, to criticism, or even to being pushed into a corner. And that's what makes this whole situation so layered. On one side, you have Chapelle calling for responsibility, unity, and self-reflection. On the other side, you have Katt Williams, a comedian known for speaking his mind, refusing to stay quiet, and exposing what he believes is the truth. Both men are respected, both have strong voices, and both have been through a lot in the industry. But their approaches couldn't be more different. Chapelle seems to believe in handling things with more care, especially when it involves people from your own community. He's asking for balance, for honesty that doesn't destroy, for truth that doesn't come at the cost of someone else's livelihood. Katt, on the other hand, appears to believe in saying it exactly how he sees it, no matter who it affects. And that difference is what sparked this entire conversation. At the end of the day, this isn't just about two comedians going back and forth. It's about something bigger, and it's about the responsibility that comes with having a powerful voice. Because in today's world, one interview, one joke, or one viral moment can change everything, not just for you, but for the people around you. And maybe that's the real question Chapelle is asking. When you have the spotlight, what do you choose to do with it? So recently, Katt Williams came out and said something that caught a lot of people off guard. He admitted that he regrets the jokes he used to make about Michael Jackson in his old comedy specials. And this wasn't just a quick apology to move on. He actually reflected on it. He basically said, looking back now, he feels like he shouldn't have gone that route at all. Not because comedy can't be edgy, but because he now believes there was something deeper going on behind the scenes. According to Katt, the same people who were giving him opportunities, putting him on big platforms and signing his checks may have had their own agenda. And in his view, that agenda was simple but damaging, pushing black men to tear each other down publicly for entertainment. Now, the moment he said that, social media lit up. A lot of people weren't ready to just accept that explanation. Instead, they flipped it back on him. Some users started calling him out, saying, "Hold on, you're apologizing now, but what about all the people you hurt along the way?" One name that kept coming up was Wanda Smith. If you remember, Katt had a very public and messy situation with Wanda back in the day, especially in Atlanta. People haven't forgotten that. So naturally, critics started bringing that up, saying he still owes her, and others, an apology too. One person online didn't hold back at all. They basically said Katt was wrong for how he treated Wanda and made it clear they weren't letting that slide. Another person pointed out how, at the time, a lot of people were laughing along and supporting Katt when he went after her. Some are even calling out what they see as fake loyalty, saying folks are now acting like they always supported her, when that wasn't really the case back then. But here's where it gets even more complicated.
It's a very thin line. I got a call, but this lady is trying to embarrass me in front of a largely homosexual fan base. That's why she got canceled.
Katt has his own version of what happened. He's claimed that the situation with Wanda and her husband wasn't just about jokes going too far. According to him, it escalated into something much more serious, to the point where he believed they were actually trying to harm him over what was said. So now, you've got two sides to this story. On one hand, Katt is reflecting, apologizing, and talking about bigger industry issues. On the other hand, people are reminding him that his own actions hurt others too, and they're not ready to just overlook that. And that's really why this whole thing is blowing up again. It's not just about an apology. It's about accountability, memory, and how people choose to look at the past once time has passed. The situation between Katt Williams and Wanda Smith didn't just happen overnight. It started as a moment people laughed at and slowly turned into something much more serious, something that still gets talked about years later.
Tell you ain't nothing, and you dumb.
Like, what did she say?
I mean, well, first of all, she cursed the other day, and it shocked me. She said she was PIS,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, you are? And I had to catch myself, like, do I?
Back in September 2018, Katt Williams showed up on Atlanta's popular radio show Frank and Wanda in the Morning on V103. He had just won an Emmy for his role in the TV show Atlanta, and the interview was supposed to be a celebration, a light, fun conversation. At least, that's what people expected. But things didn't go that way. According to Katt, there had been an understanding before the interview started. He believed certain topics, like his past legal troubles, would be off limits. But once the microphones were live, the tone quickly changed. What started as playful teasing turned into a full-on roast battle. Wanda Smith took the first shots. She joked about Katt's height and brought up his past run-ins with the law. The audience in the studio reacted instantly. Laughs, gasps, that kind of energy live radio feeds on. But Katt didn't hold back.
1 dozen of those. So you got a regular lasagna, a vegetarian lasagna, and 12 wings. And then you fill it out with salad and bread, and then...
He fired back with sharper, more personal jokes. He even mocked Wanda's appearance, her hair, and her outfit. One line in particular stuck with people. He joked that her outfit looked like something you could buy at a gas station for $7.99 with a free car wash. That line spread fast. Social media grabbed it, clipped it, and turned it into a viral moment. At the moment, many people laughed. To them, it was classic roast-style comedy. Brutal, but funny. But for Wanda, it didn't feel like just jokes. She later said she felt attacked. Not roasted, attacked. She believed Katt came in with an agenda to embarrass her publicly. And that difference in perspective is where everything started to fall apart. Because what's funny to one person can feel humiliating to another. A few days later, things escalated in a way nobody expected. Katt and Wanda crossed paths again, this time outside the Atlanta Comedy Theater. What should have been a chance to cool things down turned into something much more tense. Reports say Katt approached Wanda and made a comment along the lines of, "I told you messing with me would make you go viral." That alone could have been brushed off, but it didn't end there.
Third job is to be immaculate and Gaza strip it. That's non-political. I'm saying, if you do it...
Wanda's husband, Lamorris Sellers, got involved. What happened next quickly turned into a serious situation. Sellers reportedly chased Katt Williams, and the situation spilled out of the comedy venue and into a nearby grocery store. According to Katt, Sellers had a gun and pointed it at him during the chase. That claim raised the stakes immediately. Police got involved, and the story made headlines. Sellers later admitted he had a gun on him, but his version of events was different. He claimed the gun simply fell out of his waistband while he was running, not that he pointed it at anyone. Then footage surfaced, reportedly showing Sellers holding a gun during the incident. At that point, it could have turned into a full legal case, but Katt Williams chose not to press charges. And just like that, the legal side of things faded, but the damage didn't, because by then, the story had already spread everywhere, and the fallout was real. For Wanda Smith, the impact hit hard.
That's non-political. And I won't stop burning you down until there ain't nothing left.
By early 2019, just a few months after the viral interview and the parking lot incident, she was no longer working at V103. The station never gave a clear public reason, but many people connected the dots. The viral roast had embarrassed the show. The comments made during the interview, especially those that some listeners felt crossed a line, caused backlash. Then the confrontation involving her husband brought even more negative attention. Put it all together, and it created a situation the station likely didn't want tied to its brand. Katt Williams later claimed that Wanda's own comments during the interview played a role in what happened next. He suggested that attempts to insult him, especially by questioning his masculinity, didn't sit well with the audience and may have contributed to her being pushed out. Whether that's fully true or not, one thing is clear. Her career on major radio never really recovered after that moment. After leaving V103, Wanda stayed mostly out of the spotlight. She focused on stand-up comedy and community work, choosing a quieter path away from the kind of viral attention that once defined her career. Then, in October 2024, news broke.
Well, one of Atlanta's most well-known radio personalities has died. Wanda Smith was a staple on V103 for years, talking with Atlanta celebrities and hosting fundraisers.
Wanda Smith had passed away at the age of 58. That news changed how many people looked back at everything. Moments that once felt like entertainment started to feel heavier. It started as a radio segment, a few jokes, a viral moment, but it didn't stay there. It turned into a public feud, a real-life confrontation, a career shift, and eventually a story people still debate years later. As the story kept unfolding, the tension didn't just fade away, it got even more complicated.
Somebody pulls a gun, they're gonna not shoot you because you did what?
I don't know. If somebody pulls a gun, I'm getting the hell out.
Yeah.
According to the police report, Wanda Smith's husband, Lamorris Sellers, admitted that he did chase after Katt Williams that day, but he strongly denied ever pulling a gun on him. His explanation was simple. Yes, he had a firearm on him, but it accidentally fell out while he was running. In his version of events, there was no intention to harm anyone, just a chaotic situation that got out of control. Wanda Smith had her own side of the story too. A few days after everything happened, she went back on air and addressed the situation directly. From her point of view, Katt had shown up to the radio show already prepared to embarrass her. She claimed the attack came out of nowhere, and that her husband only stepped in later because he was trying to protect her after things got heated. But just when it seemed like both sides had told their stories, something new dropped, and it changed the conversation again. That's when TMZ released surveillance footage from the incident. The video showed Lamorris Sellers holding a gun while chasing Katt Williams into a nearby grocery store. That clip spread fast, just like the original radio moment had, and naturally, it raised more questions. Now, to be fair, the footage didn't clearly show him pointing the gun directly at Katt. Sellers continued to insist he had no intention of using it, but still, seeing a weapon in that situation made everything feel a lot more serious. At that point, this was no longer just about jokes or a heated interview. It had turned into something real, something that could have gone much worse. Even with all that, the situation didn't lead to any arrests. There were a few key reasons for that. First, both sides told different versions of what happened, and there wasn't enough clear evidence to fully prove one side over the other. The cameras didn't capture every angle, especially the exact moment when Katt claimed the gun was pointed at him. But the biggest reason? Katt Williams himself chose not to press charges. That decision basically closed the case. Without his cooperation, there wasn't much for the authorities to move forward with. So legally, the situation ended there. But publicly, it was far from over, because the fallout was still building. After Wanda was fired from her job, a lot of the attention turned back to the comments she made during that original interview.
Call me gay. Gay people don't feel like it's derogatory. So why are you trying to shame me with something in a community I don't even belong in?
Some listeners felt certain remarks, especially ones that seemed to question Katt's masculinity, crossed a line. In a city like Atlanta, which has a large and influential Black LGBTQ+ community, that kind of backlash can hit hard. Whether that was the main reason or just one part of a bigger situation, it definitely didn't help. At the time, Katt Williams stayed quiet about Wanda losing her job. He didn't speak publicly, didn't celebrate it, didn't comment at all. Years went by before he finally addressed the situation in detail. Then came January 2024. During his appearance on Club Shay Shay, Katt finally told his full side of the story. And according to him, everything that happened that day didn't start on air. It started before the cameras were even rolling.
This is in Atlanta, and they just want to hear about the Emmy and hear from you and to thank you for what you did putting the city on.
Right, okay.
And we won't talk about your kids. We won't talk about jail, no cases. We ain't going to talk about none of that.
Right.
And immediately gets in there and goes the opposite way. You can't flip up on me because you're an inferior comedian. I'm going to destroy you, and I'm...
Katt claimed that Wanda had made a promise before the interview began. He said she agreed not to bring up certain personal topics like his legal history or his children. But once the conversation went live, he felt that the agreement was broken almost immediately. He pointed to a specific moment. As soon as he mentioned the situation involving Tiffany Haddish, Katt said Wanda quickly shifted the focus and brought up his past, his kids, his legal issues, the exact topics he thought were off limits. And that's when, in his words, things started to spiral. From his perspective, it wasn't just a conversation anymore. It felt like a setup. like he was being put in a position to be embarrassed in front of a live audience. Katt also suggested that Wanda may have been trying to play to a certain crowd, especially her fan base, by pushing certain angles during the interview. In his view, that's what escalated the situation into a full-blown clash. And when it came to the aftermath, Katt didn't hold back either. He said he believed the entire situation, from the interview to the confrontation afterward, was bigger than just one argument. He even went as far as saying he felt his life was in danger during the incident with Wanda's husband. That's a serious claim, and it shows just how intense things felt from his side. Everything took a different turn when Wanda Smith passed away, and one thing that stood out to many people was Katt Williams' silence. There were no public condolences, no statements, nothing posted online. For some fans, that didn't sit right. They expected at least a brief message, especially given how public their history was. But others saw it differently. Some people argued that staying quiet might have actually been the smarter move. If Katt had spoken out, there's a good chance critics would have accused him of being fake or hypocritical, especially considering their past. There's also something else people pointed out. Just because something isn't public doesn't mean it didn't happen. No one really knows if Katt reached out privately to her family. And in situations like this, not everything needs to be shared with the world. Still, social media did what it always does. It went back, dug up old clips, replayed old moments, and reopened old debates. Some users started calling for Katt to be canceled, bringing up the Wanda Smith incident as proof of a pattern. Others pushed back, saying people were ignoring the full story, especially the part where things turned physical and potentially dangerous. And that's where this all connects back to something Dave Chappelle said.
I want everyone in this audience to know that even though the media frames this, that it's me versus that community, that is not what it is. Do not blame the LGBTQ community for any of this shit. This has nothing to do with them. It's about corporate interests and what I can say and what I cannot say.
Chappelle has spoken before about how canceled culture can affect comedy, how jokes are judged differently over time, how moments get taken out of context, and how quickly public opinion can shift. Looking at this situation, it's easy to see what he meant. What started as a radio roast turned into a viral moment, then a real-life confrontation, then a career setback, and now, years later, it's still being debated. But to really understand why this whole situation still hits a nerve, you have to look at who Wanda Smith was before all the headlines, before the viral clips, before that moment with Katt Williams changed how some people saw her. Because in Atlanta, Wanda Smith wasn't just another radio host. She was a voice people woke up to every single day.
It is the People Station, V103, ATL's #1 for hip-hop and R&B. And Ryan Cameron and Wanda Smith, we have our...
Her biggest run came on V103, one of Atlanta's most powerful radio stations, where she co-hosted the morning show Frank and Wanda in the Morning alongside Frank Ski. Together, they weren't just popular, they dominated. For about 15 years, that show held the #1 spot in Atlanta's morning radio. That's not luck. That's consistency, chemistry, and a real connection with listeners. People trusted her voice. She wasn't just there to make people laugh. She spoke on real-life issues, relationships, community struggles, and everyday things people could relate to. She had that balance of humor and honesty that made listeners feel like they knew her personally. Even when the show changed over time, when Frank Ski left and later returned, Wanda remained a steady presence. She adapted, stayed relevant, and kept her place in a fast-moving industry where people come and go quickly. But radio wasn't where her story started. Before she ever sat behind a microphone, Wanda Smith was a stand-up comedian. That was her foundation. She spent years performing in comedy clubs, building her voice, sharpening her timing, and learning how to connect with a crowd. Places like the famous Uptown Comedy Corner were part of her journey. Spaces where real comedians earn their respect, one audience at a time. And she didn't just perform, she wrote too. Wanda had writing credits on major comedy platforms, including Def Comedy Jam and Comic View. Those shows helped define black comedy for a whole generation. Being part of that world meant she wasn't just in the room, she was contributing to the culture. She also stepped into acting, appearing in films with Tyler Perry, including Medea Goes to Jail and Medea's Witness Protection. These weren't small roles in unknown projects. It showed her range, her ability to move between radio, stand-up, and film. But beyond entertainment, there was another side of Wanda that people in Atlanta knew well. She cared about her community. She wasn't just a public figure, she was involved. She supported local causes and worked directly with young people. Through her organization, Girls Stand Together, she focused on mentoring and uplifting young women, giving them guidance and confidence in a world that can sometimes overlook them. That's why, when she passed away, the reaction in Atlanta was emotional. City leaders, including Mayor Andre Dickens, spoke about her impact. He described her as a staple of Atlanta culture, someone whose voice people relied on, not just for entertainment, but for perspective and common sense advice. And that's what makes her story more complex. Because when people look back at the 2018 incident now, they're not just looking at a single moment. They're looking at a long career, a legacy, and a person who meant a lot to many people. It doesn't erase what happened, but it adds context. Wanda Smith wasn't just defined by one interview, one argument, or one viral clip. She was much bigger than that. And maybe that's the part that often gets lost when moments like these take over the narrative. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update.